Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. I hope you all had a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays with your family and friends. I know I did, as you can probably tell from my last two holiday-themed videos. In today's video, I want to go ahead and break down my new setup on ThinkOrSwim. What I'm looking at on the charts, I added two new exponential moving averages and a pretty neat volume bar that shows both buying and selling volume that you may have saw in one of my last videos. I'll break down everything that I look at during the day. I'll walk you through the EMAs that I added and show you some good examples of how these really come into play during the market day. Before we jump into the video, I want to make sure that you know that right now the Discord chat is 50% off your first month. Use the code down in the description below. It's on the first link. That's going to be going until January 1st. Also, on the Options Insider, it's $3 a month right now. If you sign up before January 1st, you'll get that discount. Wanted to let you guys know because I get a lot of questions asking if there's any discounts for the Discord chat, and right now during this holiday season I am running a discount. So guys, you know what to do. Make sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It'll really help out the video. It'll help out the channel. Subscribe to the channel for some future videos and press the bell notification so you know every single time that I post here on the channel. Alright guys, so as you may know if you've been sticking around the channel for some time now, that I use the VWAP, the 9-period EMA on the 1 minute, 5 minute, and sometimes I'll look at it on the 15 minute. I use these exponential moving averages and this VWAP to tell where a stock may find support, where it may find resistance, and overall which direction the stock wants to move. Well, recently I went ahead and I added two more exponential moving averages. I added the 45 EMA as well as the 135 EMA. Now you may ask, why those numbers? Why did you pick 45 and 135? It really comes down to some simple math. If you times 9 times 5, which is the 5-minute chart, that second number is the time frame, that is a 45 EMA on the 1 minute. If you do 9 times 15, 15 is the time frame, that is 135 EMA on the 1 minute. So if you have the 9 EMA, the 45 EMA, and the 135 EMA all on a 1 minute time frame, then you're able to look at the 9 EMA across 3 time frames all on one single chart. This alleviates all the problems that I've had in the past of switching around the different time frames to see where that 9-period EMA is sitting at. This has been a huge game changer for my trading recently. Being able to have this all on one single chart has saved me a ton of time and has been able to make me be much more efficient. On top of the EMA additions, I added a volume indicator that shows you the percentage of buying and selling pressure in each volume bar. Shout out to one of my members in the Discord chat, GS101. He shared this with the group, and I'll go ahead and share it with you today. After using this indicator, if you enjoy it, make sure to comment down below and give some props to GS101. If it was tough to follow along with some of my additions there, let's go ahead and jump into the charts and I'll show you guys everything, make it visual, and make it easy to understand. Alright guys, so we have a few examples here. We're going to run through the EMAs that I added as well as the volume indicator that I added as well. One precautionary before we jump into this, I want to make it clear that exponential moving averages are only best in a trending market, either to the upside or the downside. When these EMAs start to spread apart and the stock starts to really trend in one direction, that's when you'll see these lines act as support or resistance. When the stock is chopping around up and down, within a certain range, then these EMAs are really not as important. You'll see, I'll show you an example of where a stock is chopping around and the EMAs are not being respected at all. And then I'll show you a few examples of where they are being respected. Make sure to keep that in mind when you're using these EMAs. It's not a total 100% indicator that's going to be right every single time. So going over to the computer, here we have Baidu. This is BIDU, and today it was up 12%, trending in a really strong direction, and it respected these EMAs really well. So first things first, the blue line you see here is the 9-period EMA on the 1 minute chart. The green line is the 45 EMA on the 1 minute chart, and the red line is 135 EMA on the 1 minute chart. Finally, the gray line that you're looking at is the VWAP. So you may ask, what's the green line? What's the red line? Really, what this green line is the 9 EMA on the 5 minute. What the red line is, it's the 9 EMA on the 15 minute. But remember, we're looking at a 1 minute chart. So I have all of these indicators on a 1 minute chart without having to change between 3 different time frames. It makes it extremely easy to look at all these indicators, to look at all these moving averages, all on the 1 minute chart. And I don't need to look at the 5 minute, the 15 minute, to try to see where these EMAs are at. So let's run through this really quick. So you can see right here, morning spike, you can see that we respected the 9 EMA, we respected the VWAP, something you've seen on my channel before, using that 9 EMA in the morning to try to take some scalp opportunities. But what you'll see usually from 10 a.m. to maybe 2 p.m., that the 5-minute EMA really comes into more effect. The 9-period EMA on the 5-minute is where some of those deeper dips will fall to. It'll break through the 9 EMA on the 1-minute, and it will fall to the 9 EMA on the 5-minute, which is a little bit stronger of a support area. So in this case, on the 1-minute chart, that is my green line. You can see that that is my 45 EMA. So you can see right around 10:15 to 10:30, Baidu fell through the 9 EMA on the 1-minute right here, and fell back down to this 45 EMA. A really nice little bit of a support here, double bottom right here, and then support off of it. So if I was to see this move, I would have had to change. If I just had the 9 EMA on my screen, I would have had to change to the 5-minute chart. Now in this case, I didn't have to do that. I was able to stay in my 1-minute chart because I had the 45 EMA on my chart. Makes it much easier to not have to change these time frames. So we had that dip right there, respected that 45 EMA very nicely. Now you've probably heard this on my channel quite a bit, that if you're in a trade and you don't know when to get out of it, hold the trade until it breaks the 9 EMA on the 5-minute chart. That is something that I do quite a bit, and you can see that in this case it worked out really well. It did dip below the 1-minute 9 EMA, which is right here, 9 EMA, blue line, dipped below it, and I like to say that you don't want to look at just that one because you can get faked out. It definitely can still move higher if it holds the 5-minute 9 EMA. In this case, that is the 45 EMA on my 1-minute chart. I know it can get a little bit confusing, but hopefully you guys understand that the 45 EMA is the 9 EMA on the 5-minute chart, and the 135 EMA is the 9 EMA on the 15-minute chart. So you can see, instead of me having to switch to my 5-minute chart and see if the stock was still trading above it on the 5-minute chart, I was able to stay on my 1-minute chart and see that we were still trading above the 45 EMA here. And if I was in this position, hypothetically, I likely would have continued to hold it. At this point right here, around 12:20, is where I probably would have got out, where we fell below that green line, that 45 EMA. As for the 135 and the VWAP, those are like my last case scenario, my worst case scenario lines. If we break below those two, then we know that the trend is starting to, fall apart. You can see that later in the day here, we started to trade sideways, and the trend didn't really occur anymore. So right here, you can see how these EMAs started to spread out. There was a good amount of space between each EMA. That's the best case scenario to use this pattern. When you start to see this, where these EMAs start to go and cross each other, they're not the best. You can see that this 9 EMA was playing around here, up and down, extremely hard to follow. When the EMAs are spread out like they are around 10:30 to 12 o'clock, then you can see they were very highly respected. The next chart that I want to show you is Apple. This is Apple. This was on Monday. So we have Apple on Monday, and this is when Apple moved up really nicely in a pretty strong trend throughout most of the day. So you can see we started the day, we held that 9 EMA on the 1-minute chart, which is the blue line, sort of chopped around. This is not the best time for this, EMA strategy to work out. But what you can see is that we did find support twice at the 135 EMA, once here, acting as that last case scenario, that last resort support line. It worked out really nicely here in the morning on Apple. So instead of having to quickly change to your 15-minute chart here to check where the 9 EMA was, which you may take a little bit too much time if you're trying to catch a dip buy, then having the 135 on your 1-minute chart, you're able to see it right there without changing any time frames. Later in the day, we moved higher, sort of chopped around here. We respected the 45, the 9-period EMA on the 5-minute, did it again over here. But another one that I want to point out is this bounce right here, really respecting that 135 EMA on the 1-minute. Just as a reminder, the 135 is the 9 EMA on the 15-minute chart. So you can see this 135 acts as some last resort supports. Right here on Apple was a great example. The last one that I have for you for the EMAs is Square. So this is Square, this is today, and we can see that right around 12:15 we started to break out and these EMAs started to spread out. and the stock really started to respect these lines. So you can see right in the morning, we were sort of trending higher. We were making higher lows, continued on this trend line, making somewhat of an ascending triangle right here. And we were calling this out in the Discord that we were waiting for a break above this ascending triangle, which happened around 12:30. So we got that breakout, and the EMA started to spread out, meaning that we were starting to get a nice uptrend. Right here, we respected the 45 EMA once, twice. We got those respects, and then we moved down to this 135 EMA, bounced right off of it. So really nice to see that this 135 EMA worked extremely nicely. We got bounces off it multiple times, and when we started to trend up right here around 115, bouncing right off the 9 EMA multiple times. When we fell to that 45 EMA, and you guys can see later in the day, we just started chopped around. So overall, looking at these EMAs, I'm not saying that it's the best indicator. You're going to catch every single move using these lines, but it is a great way to find where a stock may find support. If you're watching the stock and you didn't, if this was not in past tense and the stock moved down to this 135, you may have some, support. You may have some encouragement that the stock will bounce off that level, which it did right here. You can see it bounced off the 9 EMA multiple times here. And when it failed at 9 EMA, it fell down to the 45 EMA. So you have 3 areas of support. If they hold the 3 areas, then great, the uptrend can continue. If they crack all of them, then the stock may be over and the momentum may be losing steam. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the volume indicator that I added on my charts here. I'll link it down in the description below. If you have ThinkOrSwim open, just press on the link and you can go ahead and add it to your charts. So looking at this, the green bars that you see, the portion that is green is the buying volume and the red is the selling volume. Pretty self-explanatory. The yellow line that runs through it in the background is the average volume, over the day. So you can see that the line started to increase here midday, meaning that the volume was starting to pick up as Tesla was starting to move higher. A lot of buying here, middle of the day. You can see some spikes in volume, but you can see where the ebbs and flows are of buying and selling. Not going to give you a huge one up, on the market, going to make you a ton of money, but it is pretty cool to see. During the day, you can see that the current bar, it's right here, it's blacked out, unfortunately, because the market is not open. But the current bar that's trading, it'll show you what percent is buying and what percent is selling. So you can see, like, for example, right here, this is probably about 90% buying. And a candle right here, that's about 100% selling. So that candle came in right here on this doji candle. And right after, we started to sell off a little bit. So maybe it does give you some type of idea of what's about to happen with the stock price. I'm not going to make any claims of that, but it is pretty cool to see, and I do enjoy it. Also, if you guys want, we can look at it on the daily chart, and that'll show you how much buying and selling there is in a single day. So if we move to the daily chart, what we can see here on Tesla is the bars are still red and green, and you can see how much buying and selling is occurring on the daily chart, which is actually, I think, a little bit more useful, because you can see, what days was there a lot of buying, what day was there a lot of selling. So if we look at some of these daily candles and look down at this volume, we can see which days were majority selling, which days were majority buying. One that stands out is this right here, a huge day of buying, almost all buying, very little red there at the bottom. I don't even know if you guys can see it if you're on mobile, but there's a very little amount of selling there. For example, today, probably about 90% buying as well, which is Tesla had a really strong day. So you can see if the market's open, this current bar selling will populate. That's today. So today there was only 6% of selling volume, which is pretty interesting to see. Definitely gives you an idea of how bullish or bearish a single day is, or how the stock is trending. What you do want to see is this bar in the back. You can see that that yellow line is starting to make lower lows, starting to trail down, which means that the overall volume on Tesla is decreasing as we move higher. A little bit concerning, just really nice to see here with this volume indicator. So if you guys want to add this, it's going to be the link in the description. I'll make it the third link in the description. Press on it. It's completely free, and you can add it to your ThinkOrSwim. All right, guys, so there are my additions to my stock charts just in the recent past. I have the 9 EMA, the 45 EMA, and the 135 EMA. This way I can stay on the 1-minute chart and look at where the 9 EMA is on the 5-minute and 15-minute chart without changing my time frames. If you have any questions on these additions, make sure to leave them down below. I will answer any questions referring to that. Also, Instagram, you can send me an Instagram message. I'll answer you there as well. I'll put my Instagram down in the description as well. I want to make sure you guys understand this, and I know that in a video I can miss some points, and just go ahead and ask me if you have any questions. Also, that volume indicator is pretty cool. It's pretty useful. It's nice to see the amount of selling and buying in a single volume chart. You know, usually on ThinkOrSwim, the volume bar is just blue or whatever color you make it, and you don't really know how much is buying and how much is selling. So this definitely helps out. If this video helped you out, if you enjoyed it, make sure to smash the like button. It'll really help me out. It'll help out the channel and the video. Subscribe for more. Take advantage of the discounts for the Discord and the Options Insider. Try out these EMAs, add them to your chart. Obviously, don't just trade blindly off these EMAs, but start to add them, start to back test them, and start to just look at it on the chart and see if it's something that you can use and take advantage of. Subscribe to the channel for some future videos. Press the bell notification so you know every single time that I post on the channel. Hope you guys have a great new year. Be safe, and I hope to see you in the video on Friday. Peace.